The moment you open your mouth to defend yourself, you have already handed over your power. You have lost the war before the first battle has even concluded. Visualize the scene. It happens every day. The accusation lands. Maybe it is a passive-aggressive comment from a colleague, a questioning of your integrity by a partner, a subtle jab at your competence during a family dinner. Immediately, your biology betrays you. The cortisol spikes. The heat rises in your chest. The ancient part of your brain, the part terrified of exile, screams a single command. Fix this. Make them understand. Correct the record. So you speak. You clarify. You provide context. You offer a timeline of events. You show them the text messages. You stumble over your words trying to prove that your intentions were pure. And in that exact second, you have slit your own throat. Because the world does not judge you by the content of your justification. The world judges you by the desperation of your delivery. The one who explains is the one who submits. The one who defends is the one who accepts the other person's authority to sit in judgment. You believe you are having a conversation about truth. You are actually having a negotiation about status. And you just folded. Niccolo Machiavelli, the architect of modern power dynamics, understood a brutal truth that your polite upbringing tried to breed out of you. He knew that power is not about who is right. Power is about who holds the frame. The moment you defend yourself, you step into their frame. You accept the role of the defendant. You appoint them as the judge. You have essentially said, I recognize your authority over me, and I beg for your verdict. But what if you didn't? What if, when the attack comes, you did the one thing that terrifies a manipulator more than anything else? Most people walk through life as emotional marionettes. They are pulled by the invisible strings of other people's opinions. Someone frowns, they apologize. Someone accuses, they audit their entire life to find the error. They live in a permanent state of reactive defense. It is a miserable way to exist. It is a slow, suffocating death of the sovereign soul. But there is a different way, a way of moving through the world that is so detached, so psychologically impenetrable, that insults do not just bounce off you, they dissolve before they even make contact. This is not about being cold. It is not about being arrogant. It is about a fundamental shift in the physics of your reality. Today, we are going to dissect the psychology of the non-defense. We are going to look at why your programming betrays you in these moments, and how to override it with a strategy that Machiavelli would have whispered to a prince. I'm going to show you how to flip the power dynamic instantly, how to make the attacker doubt their own sanity, how to use silence not as an absence of noise, but as a weapon of mass destruction against someone's ego. But be warned, this requires you to murder a part of yourself that you have been feeding since you were a child. The part of you that begs to be understood, the part of you that needs permission to exist. If you can kill that need, you become dangerous. You become untouchable. Why do you do it? Why, when someone challenges you, is your first instinct to provide a dossier of evidence proving your innocence? It is not a conscious choice. It is a reflex. And it starts in the nursery. Think back to when you were 5 years old. A parent or a teacher towers over you. They accuse you of breaking a vase, or hitting a sibling, or forgetting a rule. In that moment, you are small. They are giants. They control your food, your safety, and your love. What was the only mechanism you had to escape punishment? Explanation. I didn't break it, the cat did. I didn't hit him, he hit me first. I didn't mean to. You learned, at a neurobiological level, that authority figures hold the power of judgment, and you learned that your survival depended on successfully convincing that authority figure that you were good. The tragedy is that you grew up, but your psyche did not. You are now walking around the adult world, projecting that parent/teacher archetype onto everyone you meet. Your boss, your spouse, the police officer, the waiter who gave you the wrong order, even the anonymous troll in the comment section. When you defend yourself against them, you are subconsciously saying, "You are the judge, I am the child. Please accept my plea so I can feel safe again." It reeks of weakness. And human beings, primal and hierarchical as we are, can smell the scent of submission from a mile away. Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved." Translate that to modern social dynamics. It is much safer to be respected than understood. When you rush to defend, you are prioritizing being understood over being respected. You are saying, "Please get me. Please see my intent." But a king does not explain his decree to the peasant. A lion does not explain its hunt to the gazelle. The operating system of power does not support the file format of justification. The moment you start rambling, giving reasons, showing timestamps, bringing up past events to prove you are a good person, you have signaled that your internal stability depends on their agreement. You have given them the keys to your house, and once they have the keys, they can trash the place whenever they want. This is the trap of the validating self. You believe the lie that if you just explain it clearly enough, with enough logic and passion, they will say, "Oh, I see now. You are right. I was wrong. I apologize." How often does that actually happen in a conflict? Almost never. Because the attack was never about the facts. It was about the power. They didn't accuse you because they wanted the truth. They accused you to see if you would jump. And you jumped, you danced, you performed. The first step to becoming untouchable is to realize that the courtroom does not exist. There is no judge. There is no jury. There is only you and your perception of reality. When you stop treating other people like judges, their accusations stop sounding like sentences. They start sounding like opinions. And opinions are just wind. So what happens when you refuse to jump? What does the counter move look like? Imagine this scenario. Someone throws a verbal spike at you. You're being incredibly selfish right now. The old you, the defensive you, would react immediately. "No, I'm not. I did X, Y, and Z for you yesterday. I'm just tired. You don't appreciate me." Weak, reactive, predictable. Now, imagine the Machiavellian approach. They say, "You're being incredibly selfish right now." You look at them. You hold eye contact. You do not blink. You keep your face completely neutral. And you say, "Nothing." You let the silence hang in the air. 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Do you know what happens in that silence? It creates a psychological vacuum. The human brain is terrified of silence during a conflict. It signals a rupture in the social fabric. It signals that the other person is not playing the game. It triggers a primal anxiety. When you stay silent, you are acting as a mirror. You are reflecting their chaotic energy back at them. You are forcing them to sit in the tension they created. Usually, they will start to crumble. They will speak again to fill the void you created. I mean, you're not always selfish, but just right now. Why are you looking at me like that? They start defending themselves against your silence. The power has flipped. You didn't fire a single shot, and they are retreating. This is the grey rock method taken to a weaponized level. You become a void. A void cannot be attacked. You cannot punch mist. You cannot cut water. By refusing to provide the resistance of a defense, you cause their attack to pass right through you and unbalance them. This requires immense internal control, because inside, your ego is screaming. Fight back, say something clever, correct them. You must leash that dog. Machiavelli knew that the most powerful person in the room is the one who cannot be read. If you defend, you reveal your values. If you scream, "I'm not stupid," you reveal that your insecurity is intelligence. If you scream, "I'm not a bad person," you reveal that your insecurity is moral standing. You are handing them a map of your buttons. Silence reveals nothing. It is a dark mirror. And when they look into it, they only see their own aggression reflected back. It makes them feel judged, which is ironic because you haven't passed a single sentence. Sometimes silence is not enough. Sometimes the situation requires words, but never defensive words. If you must speak, you never push back against the force. You pull it. You use the aikido of conversation. There is a concept in dark psychology called agree and amplify. It creates a state of cognitive dissonance in the attacker. If someone accuses you of something absurd, defending yourself validates the absurdity. It suggests the accusation is serious enough to warrant a response. It grants the lie credibility. Instead, you lean into it. You take their accusation and you exaggerate it until it becomes a caricature. Attacker, you are so obsessed with money, you're greedy. Defensive you, no, I'm not. I just want to provide for my family. Life is expensive, boring, predictable, submissive. Machiavellian you caught me. I actually swim in a vault of gold coins like Scrooge McDuck every Tuesday. It's terrible for my back, but I love the sound it makes. You say it with a flat face or a slight amused smirk. What have you done here? 1. You refuse to be insulted. 2. You proved you are not insecure about the topic. 3. You turn their serious attack into a joke. 4. You establish that you are the one framing the reality, not them. This strips the attacker of their weapon. They wanted to hurt you. They wanted to draw blood. Instead, you took their knife and started peeling an apple with it. It signals amused mastery. Amused mastery is the ultimate state of high status. It is the attitude of a parent watching a toddler throw a tantrum. You don't get angry at the toddler. You don't argue logic with the toddler. You are amused by the drama because you know you are safe. You are the adult. When you defend yourself, you are getting down the floor and screaming with the toddler. Don't do that. Stand up, look down, smile. Robert Greene, in the 48 Laws of Power, talks about Law 25, recreate yourself. Part of that is refusing the identity others try to thrust upon you. When they label you, you're lazy, you're arrogant. They are trying to put you in a box. If you fight the box, you are still interacting with the box. If you mock the box, you dissolve it. They say, you're arrogant. You say, I prefer the term charmingly confident, but sure, we can go with arrogant today. They say, you don't care about anyone but yourself. You say, I'm working on it. I'll add you to the list of people I care about next year. It is savage, it is dismissive, and it is incredibly attractive. Why? Because it shows you a whole. You do not need their validation to know who you are. A person who knows they are generous laughs when called stingy. A person who knows they are smart laughs when called stupid. If you are defending, it is because deep down, you fear they might be right. And that is the shadow work you must do. Let's go deeper into the philosophy of the interaction. Every conversation has a metastructure, a hidden architecture. In a conflict, there is usually a judge and a defendant. The judge asks questions. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? Who do you think you are? The defendant answers, I did it because I was thinking that. Whoever is asking the questions holds the power. Whoever is answering is losing status. The most lethal Machiavellian trick is to simply refuse the role of defendant and seize the role of judge. You do this by answering a question with a question, or by analyzing their behavior instead of your own. They say, why are you always so late? The defensive, you responds, there was traffic and my alarm didn't go off, and losing. The Machiavellian, you responds, why does my arrival time affect your mood so deeply? Boom. Do you see the shift? Suddenly, we are not talking about the clock. We are talking about their emotional stability. We are talking about their reaction. You have put the spotlight back on them. They say, you're being ridiculous. The Machiavellian, you responds, what makes you feel the need to use labels like that to get your point across? You are psychoanalyzing them in real time. This is infuriating to a manipulator. They want you on your back foot. Instead, you are walking around them, observing them like a specimen in a jar. It's interesting that you perceive it that way. Does saying that make you feel better? You seem very invested in this. These phrases are shields. They acknowledge the sound coming out of the other person's mouth, but they do not accept the content. It is a boundary, a verbal force field. You are saying, this is your stuff, not mine. Keep it. This is not just a technique. It is a spiritual stance. It is the realization that other people's perceptions of you are none of your business. Their anger is their problem. Their disappointment is their responsibility to manage. Their confusion is their puzzle to solve. When you defend, you are trying to carry their emotional baggage for them. You are trying to fix their feelings. Stop it. Let them carry their own weight. Now we approach the paradox. The most aggressive, defensive, power-flipping move in the Machiavellian arsenal is often to agree, but not the agreement of submission. It is the agreement of the abyss. Imagine the scenario. An attacker comes at you with a weaponized truth. They find a small error you made, a forgotten task, a moment of laziness, and they wrap it in a layer of shame. They use a grain of truth to launch a ton of poison. You forgot to check the data. You are incompetent and lazy. The defensive mind wants to separate the two. It wants to scream, I missed the data, but I am not lazy. By doing this, you validate their judgment. You accept that you are on trial for your character. The Machiavellian does not fight the current. He flows with it, but faster than the attacker expects. He uses the fogging technique. When you throw a rock into a fog bank, there is no impact. There is no thud. The rock simply disappears. The fog does not fight back. It swallows the attack. When they accuse you, you look them in the eye and you simply validate the reality. You're right. I did miss the data. And then you stop. You offer no because. You offer no excuse about being busy. You offer no promise that you are a good person. You strip the event of its emotional weight. You accept the fact, but you ignore the insult. This creates a terrifying dissonance for the manipulator. They are pushing against a door they expect to be locked. When you simply open it, they fall on their face. They wanted a fight. They wanted resistance, because resistance proves they hurt you. Agreement neutralizes them, but it requires a specific internal architecture. You must be able to separate your actions from your identity. The insecure person fights the facts because to them, I made a mistake sounds like I am a mistake. They cannot admit the error without accepting the shame. The sovereign individual knows the difference. I made a mistake is just data. It is a coordinate in reality that needs adjustment. It is not a verdict on their soul. So when they scream that you are difficult, you say calmly, I can be difficult. When they say you messed up, you say, I definitely missed the mark. You kill the conflict by agreeing with the reality. You leave them standing there, holding the heavy bag of their own rage, while you walk away light. In any interaction, the person who is most aligned with reality, no matter how harsh, is the one who holds the frame. But be warned, none of this is a magic spell. These are not cheat codes you can just memorize. If you speak these words but your voice trembles, you will look like a fraud. If you hold the silence but your eyes dart around the room begging for approval, the silence will feel awkward, not powerful. Dark psychology is 20% language and 80% non-verbal frame. You have to build the structure to support the silence. Ask yourself, why does the accusation hurt? Why do you feel the burning need to defend? It hurts because they are touching a wound that is already there. If a stranger walked up to you and screamed, "You have green skin and 3 eyes," you would not defend yourself. You would not get angry. You would laugh. You would think they are insane because you know, with absolute certainty, that it is not true. But if they say, "You are a failure," and you feel a stab of pain, it is because a part of you suspects they might be right. The defense is not against them. It is against your own doubt. The ultimate defense is not a clever comeback. It is radical self-knowledge. It is what the psychologist Carl Jung called integrating the shadow. You must descend into your own darkness before anyone else can use it against you. You must look at your own flaws, your own capacity for cruelty, your own laziness, your own greed. We all have it. It is the human condition. When you deny your shadow, you give others the power to shame you with it. When you accept your shadow, you become immune. When you know you are capable of selfishness and someone accuses you of it, it lands with a thud. You think, yes, sometimes I am. I have to be to survive. When you know you can be cold and they call you heartless, you think, I can be, when the situation demands logic. You cannot shame a man who has no secrets from himself. You cannot expose a woman who has already walked through her own fire. This is the state of being unbreakable. You stop building walls to keep people out. You simply become the fire that consumes whatever is thrown into it. You become transparent. The arrow passes through you because there is no resistance left to hit. This brings us to the protocol. The theory is useless without the execution. For the next 7 days, you are going to play a game. You are going on an explanation fast. Consider it a detox for your soul. For 1 week, you are forbidden from offering excuses. You are forbidden from providing context unless it is strictly requested data. You are forbidden from defending your character. When you are late, you do not tell the story of the traffic or the accident or the alarm clock. You simply say, I'm late. When you spill the coffee, you do not blame the cup or the table. You say, I spilled the coffee. When you cannot attend an event, you do not invent a sick relative. You say, I can't make it. And here is the hardest part. If someone misinterprets your silence, let them. If they think your silence means you are angry, let them think it. If they think your lack of explanation means you don't care, let them believe that. Sit in the fire of that discomfort. Feel the urge to fix it rising in your throat. Feel the desperate need to manage their perception, to be the good guy, to smooth things over, and let that urge burn to ash. Observe the reactions of those around you. At first they will be confused. They are used to pushing the button and getting the treat. They are used to the dance. Then they will become agitated. They might push harder. But finally, they will adjust. They will begin to treat you with a new, cautious respect. Because humans do not respect what is free. They respect what is guarded. And nothing is more guarded. Nothing is more terrifyingly powerful than the mind of a person who does not feel the need to explain why they exist. This path is not for the comfortable. It is a cold path. It is a lonely path at first, but it is the only path that leads to true sovereignty. The world will try to bait you. It loves a reaction. It feeds on your defense. Do not feed it. Keep your mystery. Keep your power. Keep your counsel. If you are ready to leave the nursery and enter the court, if you are tired of being the defendant and ready to be the judge, subscribe. But only if you can handle the silence. And for those who want the advanced tools, the specific linguistic patterns to dismantle narcissists, the frames to dominate negotiations, these are things I cannot share here. The algorithm suppresses the sharpest blades. They are waiting for you behind the join button. In the architect tier, the trial is over. You are free to go.